Well, we're taught to believe in numbers and science, and that's a good thing. We're also frequently taught to implicitly trust any person throwing numbers and science at us, or at least trust the numbers and science. And that is potentially a problem. I'll get to that as soon as I say I'm Forrest Poston. I am not a vet. This is the Hyperthyroid Cats channel. I do hope you will subscribe, click the thumbs up button, click the share button, click the notification bell, make comments, and tell your friends. Now, I may end up blinking a lot in this video. I apologize for that, but I do have mild cataracts, and I'm looking towards the window here, and, well, I may blink a lot. Now, also, if you want to support this channel and the cats, there should be a link in the description and comments for Buy Me a Coffee, and I would appreciate it. Don't need the cream and sugar. Hey, if you want to add it. Anyway, when somebody tells you numbers don't lie, first thing you should do is take a closer look. And when Hills tells you science did that, your response should be good science or bad science. I'm going to take a look at the paperwork that Dechra submitted to the FDA in order to get Felimazole approved at a dose of 2.5 milligrams twice a day. Now, this is going to be a relatively long video, I think. So if you don't have a drink and popcorn, you might want to pause and get some. The study looks fine, looks reasonable, unless you start asking questions and looking some at what the studies don't do or say, as well as what they say. And to start with, when you are looking at any study, ask yourself what the purpose of the study is. Now, you'd like to say that the purpose of these studies was to help the cats. That isn't it. It's profit. Dechra is trying to make money, and that's fine. That's the way the system works. But you're still supposed to be concerned with the actual health of the cats, not just kind of interested as a side result. Now, Dechra had several studies that they did, a couple more that they were studying Felimazole specifically, but not clear whether Dechra did the study or they were done elsewhere, and then a couple of outside studies on Felimazole as supporting evidence. And I'm holding the wrong paper. All right. Now, I do apologize again because I'm going to have to refer to this paper quite a bit, and I'm not wearing my glasses because I get glare. So I'll be doing this some of the time. The first study started with 26 cats, giving them 10 to 15 milligrams daily total. That was 5 milligrams twice or 3 times a day. And that was the original protocol back in 1979 when feline hyperthyroidism was first diagnosed. And the results with those doses caused so many problems that a number of vets stopped using that protocol almost immediately. Now, it took decades before we could say most vets stopped using it, and we have some who are still using it. this study really, it existed to make the lower dose look better in comparison. I don't really think it was necessary. I think there was enough evidence about this dose. Doing the study was questionable to me. Now, in pretty much all of these studies, they used cats with a T4 over 5.1, with 4.0 being the high end of normal. And that T4 5.1 plus symptoms of hyperthyroidism. And then after 3 weeks, adjusted the dose. That's the standard. 19 cats completed the 3 weeks. So just in 3 weeks, 7 cats out of the study. 4 of the 19 were considered a success based on T4 and improved symptoms. 12 out of 19 cats were below normal. And that's pretty much expected with that dose. I mean, it's a problem dose. Could have told them it was going to happen. Pretty much the only way it doesn't happen is if there are digestive issues that prevent absorption. And the risk of digestive issues with that dose is pretty high. So yeah, 63% of the cats were low. Okay, so that's not a successful dose, which was the point of the study, to show that this dose we knew was not successful wasn't successful. 11 of the cats finished the study to 20 weeks. They say 8 were withdrawn because of negative reactions. They don't give us information about it. 3 died of reactions to the methimazole. 2, the thrombocytopenia, which means the RBC numbers went low. It's a known allergic reaction. 2 died within 12 days of going at 5 milligrams twice a day. And 1 died 5 weeks after increasing to 5 milligrams 3 times a day. And they never tried to find out why. So it is entirely possible, and I would say probable, that most or even all of those deaths were due to the methimazole and the dose, and a failure to really, keep track. And I don't think I have to tell you that really bothers me. That study probably should not have been permitted, and if I had my way, there would be legal charges brought. Now, because of the adverse reactions, they changed the study to 5 milligrams once a day, and then continued. They started this with 40 cats. 25 of 40 made it to the 20-week mark, finished the study. They say 6 withdrawn for adverse reactions still. And they said 8 withdrawn, 1 died unrelated to treatment. I want evidence that it was unrelated and details on what happened to every single one of these cats. Because we're taking their word for it because it's a scientific study. Let's see. At 20 weeks, they said 24 of the 25 remaining cats had 0 to mild symptoms, but 21% still had a T4 over 5.1. Now, yeah, this is not really a successful protocol. They're not telling us how many cats had below normal T4 and how the creatinine, the main kidney number, was reacting. They're just leaving out so many details that you don't necessarily know to ask if you don't have the experience with feline hyperthyroidism. And of course, the people on the FDA panel, they're not trained in feline hyperthyroidism. They just kind of look at the numbers given and say, okay, they don't know what questions they should ask. And I don't know if they submitted the information to independent experts on feline hyperthyroidism, which really should be required. So then, new study. And here they finally get to the 2.5 milligram twice a day, which was their stated purpose. They wanted to get approval for this drug at 2.5 milligrams twice a day. The first two studies were to show, worse. To try specifically to make 2.5 twice a day look better in comparison. And I'm going to get to the real kicker kind of late in this, so hang with me. And again, same standards, 5.1 T4 plus symptoms. They define success as normal T4 and decreased symptoms. Now, if you are really familiar with feline hyperthyroidism, normal T4 isn't good enough. Needs to be mid-normal. So if you know the details, you can say, hey, wait a minute, you're playing pretty loose with this definition of success. 58 of the 71 finished 20 weeks. 59% had normal T4. And I don't consider that a particularly good result. And again, they're not giving us detailed information as far as low normal, high normal. How is the creatinine responding to these particular numbers? Now, they'll say at times, this many cats were removed because existing kidney disease was uncovered. And then I would say, well, what was the T4 exactly? Because maybe it wasn't existing kidney disease. It may have been acute kidney disease because the T4 was too low, even low normal. And what happened if you adjusted the dose? They just pushed these cats aside instead of studying. I'm sorry. Again, what's the purpose of the study? Getting approval for this medicine at this dose to maximize profit, not just to make profit. And there's the distinction. I should have made that earlier. They're not looking to make profit. They're looking to maximize profit at whatever level they can get away with. That's what you call capitalism. It's also why love of money is the root of all evil. Okay. Where was I? Oh, ranting off onto the side. Now, if they did not have the normal T4, they adjusted the dose to 2.5 milligrams once a day, or 2.5 3 times a day, or 2.5 milligrams once a day, and then every other day, 2.5 twice a day. And if those sound like some pretty wild, approaches. You're right. What does it tell you? You need a different dose option. Whether it's cutting these pills, which can be cut, Dechra just doesn't want to spend the money to document that the medicine is evenly distributed, which is required to legally say you can cut them. They can be cut. People have been doing it since Felimazole was released, because they don't offer, at least in the U.S., the necessary dose options, size options. Now, multiple cats had problems: anemia, jaundice, bleeding, kidney disease, and they did not go into any details. What they call the substantial evidence, which is sort of evidence from non-Dechra sources, studies Dechra did not necessarily do, but may have paid for. One of the studies, they defined success as T4 under 4.0, which means a low T4, which can cause trouble, even death, if allowed to continue, was considered a success. That is playing very loose with the numbers. They did quarterly visits after, initially doing, I think, 20 days and 42 days. And by the 5th quarterly visit, they started with 113 cats. By the end, they were down to 15 still in the study. Not because they died, but for various reasons, including several who died. And they claimed only 4 were related to the medicine. No evidence, just a claim. And if you're giving me a study for a medicine, I think evidence is called for. Okay. Then there was it was called a margin of safety study. And man, this one really disturbs me. I tried to look it up online, did not find the study or the vet who did it. It was done in England. Doses ranged from 5 milligrams to 30 milligrams a day. The highest dose a cat should ever end up on is 20 milligrams a day. And that's, kind of after you worked up to that over years. And most cats never get anywhere near that. And they were starting at up to 30 milligrams a day. And this is after feline hyperthyroidism has been around for more than 25 years. Cats have been getting methimazole for decades. And we already know that 5 milligrams twice a day, 10 milligram daily total, is way too much. And they're doing 30 milligrams a day. 4 out of the 6 cats getting 30 milligrams a day were euthanized because of reactions to the med. I consider that an evil study. Why is it in this application to, get the medicine approved? Because it shows that 2.5 milligrams twice a day, despite the fact that it caused significant problems, was an overdose for many cats, and had a significant rate of side effects. But compared to giving 30 milligrams a day, well, by golly, it's a heck of a lot better, isn't it? So, as far as I can see, including that study, which never should have been permitted, never should have been permitted. Even in 1979, when they first, knew about this, it should not have been permitted. And it's just there because it is so horrific that it makes the Dechra results look good. They're not good, but it makes them look good. Now the kicker. In 1988, there was a dosing study to find out what was the average dose necessary to get a cat into normal range. Now, there were some problems with the study. Because they didn't really factor in digestive issues. And one thing I've noticed is that increasing a dose increases digestive problems quite often, which reduces absorption and makes it appear a cat needs a higher dose. Anyway, one of the side results of this study in 1988, which is, 20 years before Dechra was trying to get approval for Felimazole. This study, they discovered that a significant number of cats were mid-normal, where they need to be, on 1.25 milligrams twice a day. And by 2009, when the documents I'm working from were, submitted, this dose was in use. People using generic methimazole. It had been a known successful dose for decades. And Dechra did not submit any studies of that dose. Did they not know about it? That would be inexcusable. They should have done enough research to know that. Now, so either they didn't know it and should have, or they knew it and didn't study it and dang well should have. And this is why, it's a problem if the FDA has no expert input. They didn't know, they didn't ask what happens, because Dechra had shown that a lower dose was safer. Well, that should raise automatically the question of what is the lowest successful dose? Evidently, nobody asked. Meanwhile, Dechra has introduced a few years ago a 1.25 milligram pill in the UK, and I think maybe Canada, I don't know about Australia, but not the US. And I believe they have been asked to do so. They have not done it. Producing additional sizes, right now they produce 2.5 and 5 milligram pills. Producing a third size would, I expect, increase their costs. Might also increase their profit because there's a heck of a lot of people who'd buy those pills because they are the safest starting dose for most cats. American Association of Feline Practitioners says to start at 1.25 to 2.5 milligrams twice a day. And there is now a preference for starting lower and, if need be, working your way up, rather than the old protocol of starting higher, dropping T4 fast, risking dropping it go low, and then lowering the dose if it's a problem after the cat has gotten sick. Or you end up on these funky, this dose one day, that dose another day, and just insane. So when somebody tells you, trust the numbers, trust the science, don't listen to them, don't listen to me. Do your studying, ask questions, and think. Because this is on you. Like, I'm not a vet, and not all vets aren't perfect either. Vets make mistakes. And quite often, when you're looking at medicines or food, the information is coming from or controlled by the companies who are trying to maximize their financial profit. So, I mean, look as deep as you have time for, ask around, and when somebody else tells you, hey, no, this is the answer, check them too. And sometimes, of course, all you've got to go on is logic and gut instinct. So look for who gives you really the best logic that applies to cats. Because cats are weird. You can't apply the same, logic to cats that you do to humans or dogs. Now, some of the meds for humans and dogs work fine in cats. But you can't say, hey, this works, and use that as your only reason for doing it with cats. All right, that's my sermon for today. Look at the numbers, look at the studies, look at the science, but check them. Don't assume. Numbers don't lie. Because people do. And even if people aren't lying, they can be wrong. And always remember, try to look at what's not there. Look for the gaps, the unasked questions, or the unanswered questions. Okay, I said it was going to be kind of a long video. I was right about that much. Maybe I'm right about other things. I have been mistaken at times. Or as Dad used to say, I thought I was wrong once, but it turned out I was mistaken. Thanks for watching. Please support the site, and I'll see you another time. So long.